What would you do if your teenager refused to move to a new country?
Which one of the children didn't want to leave?
So this one.
This mom was struggling with unsafe schools,
First 2 weeks of school, there were 2 bomb threats.
skyrocketing costs, and a life that just didn't feel right. But she didn't back down, and what happened next will blow your mind. This is her and their family's story.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and I have some new guests that are going to be giving you a very interesting story. Let's go ahead and get to know them. So, what are your names?
My name is Amanda.
My name's Gregory.
And you two are not alone here, correct? You are with family as well, right?
We
family.
are. We are my husband and we arrived in Cuenca with 4 of our boys.
Right now, we are currently in the city of Cuenca, right?
We are in the city of Cuenca.
And this is one of the bigger expat hubs of Ecuador.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Huge
probably the
expat.
biggest.
I'm really excited to be able to chat with you guys about moving here and about living here because Cuenca is such a big place to move to. So many people want to know about it, and you being in a pretty large family, comparing to most people that I've talked to, is mostly just a single guy or a couple.
Retired.
Right, a lot of people are retired, and there's just a lot of things that go into why you would want to move into here. So we're going to talk about that now. So where are you from in America?
So
A little bit everywhere.
all over. My husband worked for different hospital chains in the U.S. And so I have 4 boys, all born in different states. We traveled and experienced every piece of America there was. So
Yeah.
And where were you born?
I was born in North Carolina, but I'm the oldest of 4 boys. North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, and then a Colorado baby.
And how about you, Amanda?
I'm from Jersey, but my husband's from Louisiana.
There you go. So
Uptown girl, small town boy. That's how we found it.
Right, so you're just kind of an all-around American from
big
everywhere.
melting pot.
Everywhere.
Why come to Ecuador? What motivated you guys as a family to leave the United States and come here to live in Cuenca in Ecuador?
So originally, where they call your launch point was Texas. My husband had a contract in Texas. We did not agree with the education system in where we were. We started little by little taking our children to online school. Once that occurred, my husband
Wanted to retire.
wanted to retire. It was time.
Ripe old age of 47.
He was getting up there, and we decided they're already online. We heard about Cuenca from my brother-in-law who had visited. We had never touched ground in South America.
So none of you knew anything about Cuenca besides your dad, right?
Hardly knew it even existed.
Nothing.
No.
Didn't even know it existed. We heard Colombia. We've heard of South American countries, but Ecuador, you hear Galapagos,
Yeah.
and that's a place people may relate to, but they
outside of
don't
that,
realize
very
it's in
little.
Ecuador.
So you ended up wanting to move down because the education system was not right?
We weren't
Not
feeling it.
Texas.
No, it was.
Retirement was coming up.
Yeah.
Retirement, living off of his 100% disability, it was so much more feasible to do it here in Cuenca than it could have ever possibly been to do in the
family
States.
of 6 is.
It's a big family.
He had to keep raising the ranks in the hospital
Yeah.
to keep surviving on a food bill for 4 boys. It was a lot. So it was definitely a cursor for why we came.
Yeah, I got you. And wanting to be in a safe place was a big, important issue, right? And
So it was huge. In America, I mean, my kids in Texas were playing
Literally,
outside
yeah,
and drive by, paintballs, pellet guns, bomb threats it was just constant.
First 2 weeks of school,
4.
there were 2 bomb threats.
But
and then
4 whole
total,
terrorist
yeah.
type things in the schools. It was just irrationally insane. It was
That's crazy.
insane.
It was insane.
It was
yeah.
time. And we had started hearing, things about Ecuador. We started researching.
A lot.
My husband was game. He was a Marine, so the travel bug was always in him.
yeah.
So it was hard convincing the children.
So
That was the big part.
the adults were all basically, okay, we're convinced
game.
this is a great idea.
Yeah.
And then which one of the children didn't want to leave?
So this one, being in high school, being at a teenage age, being a teenager, it's hard to separate from your friends. The life you exist is just, that's your normal. And teenage life in America is very social. And to extract them from what they've only known to a place that they don't know the language, they don't know the culture.
Yeah,
Could you share a bit about your experience?
Oh yeah, it was was because we had moved for years and years and years, so it wasn't anything new to be in a school for a year and then move away, which sucked. And I was always the one person. My brothers always cut ties as soon as the boxes were starting to get loaded up. I never did.
So you guys moved a lot previously, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Damn near every year, every single year, we to another state.
Different contracts in different hospitals.
Absolutely. And so one of the big things was moving to a foreign country that I didn't know, frankly, even existed, more or less.
Bit thrown out for the police on the sidewalk.
Moving to another country that I barely knew existed, so away from everything that I knew, to a country that didn't speak the same language as I did, had an entirely different culture than I knew. It was
scary.
A lot. On top of, we did an extra special where we sold everything that we owned, so having
We
to
didn't
purge
store anything.
everything that you have and only take the few necessities and keepsakes that you want to keep.
11 suitcases for
11
6
suitcases
people.
between 6 people was a lot.
So besides these specific challenges for you, what other challenges were there for traveling and leaving the US for Ecuador as a family with children?
We also had 2 hairless cats that we were bringing with, so that was very
A lot of people,
large.
when they relocate, you know, having animals is a hard thing, but going international with animals is even harder.
Oh my God.
They have to be microchipped, they have to be vetted.
Clear bill of health.
Yeah, you have to
so
go through
much. They have their own passports.
In the airport themselves, they have their own passport. They go
They
through
have
their own link.
passport.
They do.
How long did it take to get the passport?
It was a
Weeks.
whole
Yeah, it's a
process because
long
everything
process.
needs to get apostle, just like everything
So that
else.
cat's an American citizen, huh?
Yeah.
More or less. There
we,
was
the 2 cats
2
are
hairless cats, and
expensive.
then just even in the airport having to deal with 2 hairless cats that they've done plenty of travel in the car, but they're
international travel's
it's
different.
a lot. So having to take them out for
Airlines
security,
are pretty tricky.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't go by the
the regulations
guidelines and
yeah.
regulations that the airport has, I mean, they will literally kick your
Stomp
bag
the
with the
cat
animal
underneath the seat. It
and
was
take
horrible.
photos and bring it to the pilot to make sure it's
Yeah, we were
regulation.
stuck for a while.
We had a hard time getting them here.
Wow, quite the struggle, huh?
If you're enjoying this interview and you're interested in seeing more content like this, you can check out my playlist called the Expat Interview Playlist, where I have been interviewing people from Guatemala all the way down through Central America and now here in South America.
So besides the whole struggles of leaving America, what were the struggles or difficulties in having children or being, you know, minors at the age you came as a minor, right? You were
16 when we moved here.
What were some of the complications or challenges that you faced?
I mean, luckily we had already started to go online school at that point. Granted, we had me and the second born Patrick. We had started with University of Texas because it was free to us because we
International,
lived with
you
Texas.
can go online. It's a high
So then
school.
we moved over to Acellus, which is a program that's very popular with a lot of other expat families here.
Yeah,
And
Acellus
so
Academy.
luckily, and then also with COVID, when COVID happened,
A lot of
we
people
all
went
went
online.
online. So both with COVID and then living in Texas and being online for basically a year.
transition school-wise was pretty
The school
easy.
part was okay, but the languages and culture, what
Language
about
was
that?
a lot, culture was a lot. Luckily, my father had done plenty of research and looked into and had started learning Spanish a lot, so he took care of all of the
And
hablo español.
You also want to
Um,
look for groups before you move to find avenues where your children would succeed.
Mhm.
So
Did you
here-
look on Facebook to find some
So
groups?
Facebook,
Absolutely,
there's
so
tons,
many Facebook groups here.
people that are transitioning, moving, retiring to the location, specifically Cuenca, Ecuador. There were tons, and they're so willing to give information
Oh, absolutely.
about anything and everything, privately or socially. When you come here, you meet the people you've been talking to for months, and it's like you're friends, and you've been friends for so long. They welcome you. You're not it's not as scary just having that community. For him specifically, the one who didn't want to come, we researched theater. There's an English community theater here, which is amazing. So I got him in touch with them. We touched ground, immediately started
Went to
doing that.
a workshop that Paula Bailey was having at Oswald Community Theater. I fell in love, and I've been with them ever since. I've done a handful of shows, both acting and tech-wise, because I've always loved the theater. And so this was my first proper experience outside of school, getting to be with like a community theater. And Oswald Community Theater was an amazing experience. I'm very glad that...
With my littles, they were more sports oriented.
Oh, absolutely.
So locally, there's playgrounds and parks. And
Everywhere.
it's amazing the communities that they put on. So there's basketball groups that my kids joined in the small little community we were in when we first moved here. They made friends that way. There's other expat families that have meetups. Halloween's not a big thing here, but
I spent Halloween here. I was like, I was expecting something more because the Day of the Dead is so much bigger.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I didn't
So
realize it
different.
was
It's
such
so
a big.
different.
It was overwhelmed by the other one.
In the last 2.5 years we've been here, Halloween has actually grown a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was nothing 2.5 years ago. And so the expats all get together, do trick-or-treating in a park. They have little locations. So people try to make homes the best of what they can. And it's so inviting because they bring in the community of Ecuador, but as well as the US or Canada, wherever.
So do you think this tightly knit community of not only foreigners but locals is one of the most rewarding things about being here?
Oh, I'd say so. Absolutely.
Family oriented. That was one thing we couldn't find in the States. It was it was so social, who's got what and what you're wearing, and it's not that here. It is all about family.
It's more following the Jansons or what's
keeping up with the
Wilsons or
who is it? Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah. So,
That's
that's
you're not
the
living
capitalistic material
here
versus here. It's such a small knit community.
Time. That's what they thrive
everybody, because of my experience in the theater, I can point out so many expats that have come and seen my shows that know me and will walk up to me and be like, "Aren't you the kid that did the show?" Or any of these other things.
Community is huge here.
Oh yes, you get to know people and you get very friendly with people, and everyone's here to help one another.
So being a teenager that moved here basically against your will at the beginning, but now that you love it.
He told us many times.
What is the summary or maybe some advice you could give to other people that might be in the same situation? A teenager, not sure about moving to Ecuador or a Spanish-speaking country.
Absolutely find people that you can get to know, because that's one of the big things. Even when we lived in Texas for the year, I was online, so it was pure isolation for the year that we were there, and I was absolutely miserable. And so I'm very, very grateful that I was able to find the theater that I did and get to know all of these wonderful, wonderful people.
So did you look on Facebook for groups as well?
She did all of it because I was still very adamant about I didn't want anything to do with it.
Because I knew that there was going to be a community. I knew that no matter what, there's an art community here, idiom art. There's a theater community here. There is a drum. I mean, name it, you can get involved in it.
So much stuff here.
It's ridiculous that, people hear about Ecuador and Cuenca and they're just closed off. That's scary. That's just jump. If you get the opportunity, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Go for it. If you have the opportunity, if you have the means, just do it.
So it seems like, from what I understand, before coming here, even the entire family was like, I don't know, safety, I don't know this. You were super against it. Now you're here and you pretty much love it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Cuenca is beautiful. The people here, even the Ecuadorians, are so incredibly friendly. They welcome you as part of the community.
Oh, yeah. You become the community, enthralled in this thread of colorful people and from all over the world. And it's just, you're all now a part of each other.
Everything short of the droughts has been wonderful.
For anyone thinking about coming to a family-friendly place that has a great community, Cuenca is probably one of your best options.